Malai. He is the city convener of Chennai of Swadeshi Jagran Manch and a voracious reader and a prolific writer, and he has authored 2 books. One is FDI in retail, the topic of this session itself in Tamil, and a Swadeshi a lifestyle. And he has translated Sri Gurumurthiji's book Women in Tamil. So over to Sri Malai for chairing this session. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible to everybody? The last.
So this is going to be a very important topic, and I request all our youth who are present here, which is going to be useful for them in the near future, and these are all a very important topic which is having an impact to our nation as well as to our society as an individual, as a responsible citizen. We have a greater role to play in all these things. So a humble request, please cooperate with us and maintain silence, and so that the session is through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan. India had been and is still the land of entrepreneurs. There wasn't any large-scale sort of employment large-scale employment like employed by any single entity. There were small people employed in their own way, say the farmer. The farmer is an entrepreneur in his own right. There was this carpenter. There are these blacksmiths, goldsmiths. All these people were entrepreneurs in their own rights once upon a time. Maybe the largest employer at that time was probably the king's army, and maybe those people who were in royal attendance. These were the king was the most biggest employer of those times. But as days passed by, and maybe due to some shifting of some professions and maybe decline of some, the whole industry of being an independent entrepreneur or being employed alone or independently started coming down. And this has given birth to large sort of independent business types. And one such industry is the retail industry. I will not go into the details of what the subject matter of the FDI into retail. I leave it to the learned speaker and eminent speaker, Shekhar Swamy. However, I do have a personal connection with the retail industry. In the early 80s and 90s, we were in the retail business industry. We were distributing products, especially the consumer products. We call it FMC, the fast-moving consumer goods, throughout Tamil Nadu, and we were very strong in distribution in Chennai. We were catering to more than 20,000 outlets in Chennai. In fact, Swamiji's company, RK Swamy PPD, was handling one of our accounts of Retail Chotelina, which we were distributors in Tamil Nadu. I have a very strong connection and a personal rapport with almost most of the retailers in Chennai. And a decline or a diminishing of such an industry, I empathize with them and I feel for them and understand the impacts it will have in the industry. And briefly, I am really honored to introduce Sri Shekhar Swamy. Sri Shekhar Swamy is an MBA from the University of Delhi. He has done his MS from Northwest University, United States. He is the group CEO of RK Swamy Hansa Companies, and he is taking care of marketing and communication services. He is also a visiting faculty at Northwestern University for the past 15 years. He teaches global marketing there. Sri Swamiji has done an extensive study on the impact of FDI, that is foreign direct investment in the retail industry. He has made CDs on this subject in almost all the Indian languages, and he has circulated to all the state leaders. These are in the vernacular languages, and he has circulated to all the state leaders throughout the country. He has also had a special meeting with the MPs and he has talked to them and personally persuaded them in this particular subject. I should say he is a crusader in this matter. Not only SJM and many eminent personalities like Sri Swamiji have been taking up and relentlessly crusading against FDI in the retail. It is for the stakeholders, it is for the public and the government to take note of what is happening and what might happen in this, if this industry is going down or if it is going to decline. People should have trust in what is being said by such people. After all, SJM or Swamiji have no personal interest or personal stake in it. Trust is what? There is really a trust deficit. I'll just say a small anecdote. One particular person was walking up the hill, or maybe it was dark in the dusk time. Unfortunately, he slipped and fell down. Fortunately, there was something to hold on. He got hold of a small cliff of rock and he was waiting for some time. Hands were aching. Then after some time he started shouting, "Is there anybody out there? Can you help me?" There was no sound. He again shouted, "Is there anybody out there? Can you help me?" And at last a voice, a bellowing voice came up and said, "Look son, don't worry, I am God here speaking. Please trust in me. Let hold of your grip." There was silence. This man didn't answer for a moment. Then he again said, "Is there anybody else there up?" Even if God is going to help you, we are not prepared to do it. So please trust in what Sri Swamiji has to say. I invite Sri Swamiji over to the mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Padmanabhai. This is certainly not God speaking. Of that, I'm very, very sure. Thank you for that kind introduction. And I'm grateful to the SJM for the opportunity to address all of you and share with you a perspective on. I'll do this, don't worry. Just give me a second. It's fine. Can you hear me in the back? Yes? Yes. Thank you. So I'm happy to be here to share a perspective on foreign direct investment in multi-brand retail. Sorry. And I'm delighted particularly for a special reason. The last time I was asked to do this was in Bombay about 6 weeks ago, and this was to a group of equity investors organized by a large brokerage house. And as you can appreciate, the equity investors have their own agenda. They have a great interest in mergers and acquisitions, and they were not necessarily tuned to, or interested in what I had to say. It was not the most friendliest of audiences that I had to go and speak on the subject. Compared to that, I know that I am in good company. And I am with like-minded people, so I am even more happy to be here. And thank you for making me feel welcome. As has been stated already, I am not a trader. I am not a retailer. I have no vested interest in the retail business. I am not an economist. I don't claim to know the theories of economics. I may have some sense of how markets work because I am essentially from the marketing field. I am not an activist. But perhaps somewhere along the line, thanks to some experiences that have gone into my head, maybe I'm able to spot a few problems here and there. I'm not an advocate of protectionism. State that up front. Of any kind, really. In our own business, we have not sought protection. And we are happy to compete with anybody. And I am from a business family or a group. Therefore, you can call me a capitalist, because we do employ capital and we do turn a return on that investment. Having said all that, I have still taken a position on this FDI and multi-brand retail, and I'll come to that in a minute. And there is no guesswork really in what I'm going to say. You don't need to guess. There's a lot of experience and facts and figures of what has happened around the world. If we only look outside, learn what we need to learn and apply it in our local situation, the answers will come to us. The negative impact of big foreign retail has reverberated, and it continues to reverberate throughout the world. In their own home markets. If you don't believe me, just go on Google books on Walmart and you will come up with at least 10 titles which are written by Americans against Walmart as a company. If you just look across the Atlantic to the UK, there is actually a website called Tescopoly, which is talking about the monopolistic practices of Tesco in the UK. Tescopoly.org is there. So all we have to do is look at the right learnings and apply them for our situation. Now the first thing we must realize is that we are at an economic war. There is no other way to call this. There is an economic war, not with one, but with all the leading economic powers of the world. And they are all at war also with each other. So this is a war where everybody is fighting everybody. And India is very much a part of it. It is a free-for-all. The rules of engagement of this war are written by the powerful to be followed by the weak and the meek. As in most wars, this one too is about domination and hegemony, with the winner taking the spoils. It concerns the economic well-being of our country in the broadest sense. But the good thing is, all is not lost in this war. If we are smart, and if we unwaveringly put our national interests first, we don't have to lose this war. And indeed, we can gain from it what we want. So there is a window of opportunity. And it is very clear. But we must know what is the context in which we are fighting this war. There is also a major political angle, but I am not going to get into that in this forum. But I will state it, and I will leave it here for you to think about it when it comes to retail. The retail industry is not just another industry. Okay, the government opened up investment in the advertising and marketing services business in our country. Today, 14 out of the top 15 service providers in advertising, which is my business, and marketing, are owned by multinationals. The country has been completely, our particular industry has been completely multinationalized. It's gone. But retail is not our kind of business. Retail is too important, too basic. And what does it represent? It represents the veins and arteries of the economy and of the nation. So it is not just another industry. It is the multifaceted, retail is the multifaceted and multifarious ways in which food is distributed to the population. Just think about that. The nation's food supply goes through these veins and arteries. Local control of the food supply chain in as fragmented a manner as possible represents our political freedom. Now that's a whole thesis you can develop. And as I said, I'm not getting into that because there's a whole, that whole area is fraught with all kinds of implications. But think about this. Do we really want our national food supply chain to be multinationalized? And what is the implication of that? In my view, we cannot contemplate entrusting this to foreign interests. My position has been on FDI and retail is well known. I mean, I've written enough about it and I'll continue to write about it as and when facts come out. So let me state it in case there is any doubt. I consider the policy on FDI and multi-brand retail to be a disastrous initiative in a long time. It is anti-national in its scope. It is anti-common man in its sweep. It is anti-farmer and anti-rural in its impact. And it is anti-consumer in more ways than you can imagine, which means you and me. Now let's look at some facts and figures, and let me see if I can support this argument. To understand the situation, we must ask 8 simple questions. What does this policy actually mean? Whom is the government permitting or wanting to permit into the country in the name of FDI? What is their criteria? They are asking people to come into your country. The least you should do is check on their antecedents. Who are these people that they are inviting into our midst? If I am inviting some guest into my house, hopefully I will invite people that I know. I am not going to just invite somebody whom I don't know, who may come and do funny things in my own backyard. So I must understand that. What is the central operating philosophy of these companies? I am not saying it. What are they saying? What is their policy? What is their DNA? How are they going about their work? Okay? What is the central operating philosophy? Who will they displace? And what will be the scale of disruption? What sort of markets do they have? Who does the policy benefit? Why should you and I care about this policy? And what should we actually be doing to address the issues relating to retail? So let's answer these 8 questions. What is this policy? In essence, it means that foreign companies, it will largely be European, American, Japanese and Korean, will come here, they will buy our produce and products from within India, they will add their markup and sell that to Indians for a profit, which will eventually flow out of the country. So what we have been doing for generations, we are now being asked to vacate, to placate the foreign retailer. This is the policy. So forget about foreign direct investment in multi-brand retail. Get rid of that language. Most people don't understand what that language means. I speak to retailers, I go to the markets, I talk to these people. हाँ साहब ऐसा है ये वो है तमिल पैसा எப்படி இருக்கீங்க எங்க போறீங்க எப்படி இந்த வால்மார்ட்ல வராங்களா உங்களுக்கு தெரியுமா ஆமா சார் கேள்விப்பட்டேன் அண்ணா இந்த FDI மல்டி பிராண்ட் ரீட்டைல் கேள்விப்பட்டீங்களா தெரியாது அது என்ன சார் அது ஓ அப்படின்னா ஓ எங்களோட கம்பீட் பண்ண வராங்களா அது தெரியலையே they don't understand the language. I have tested this in every state that I go to, whether it's Tamil Nadu or Maharashtra or Gujarat or Delhi or East. Our traders don't even know what their problem is. This is the policy of displacement. So who are they? Who's the government letting in? What is their track record? We know the names. Walmart, Tesco, Carrefour, Metro. There are dozens of other similar companies. And they will all line up for a share of the Indian market. It's very simple. There is a projection that the Indian retail industry will be, forget India being a $1 trillion economy, which it is and much more. The Indian retail industry alone is projected at over $1 trillion in 5 to 7 years. There are not many markets of this size and scale and complexity and opportunity. Now, if you look at a Walmart, which is a declared objective to be a first $1 trillion company in the world in terms of sales, this is their stated goal. And they are now at $400 billion plus. Where is the other $600 billion going to come from in terms of sales? If they don't have access to India, how are they going to meet their objectives? So that's a $400 billion plus company, 18 lakh crores, which is about the size of the Indian retail sector, one company in the US. Carrefour, 130 billion, 6 lakh crores. Tesco, 100 billion, 4.5 lakh crores. Metro, close to 100 billion. Now in terms of location, Walmart 9,000 locations worldwide, Carrefour 9,500, Tesco 5,400, Metro 2,100. What is the character of these companies? Even in their own domestic markets and wherever they have grown, wherever they have gone, these are proven to be some of the most ferocious, predatory companies in the world. There's nothing wrong in saying that. They themselves say it. Their DNA is to conquer the market. They will use war-like language. Their practices in the markets are ruthless, and it is designed to wipe out competition. Walmart has a phrase. It's called stomp the comp. In other words, stomp the competitor. Get rid of them. We will do whatever it takes to get rid of competition in our trading area. This is our stated practice. You can go and put stomp the comp in Google, and the first thing you will get is Walmart. Their resources are enormous. They can invest and lose money for years. Years? Forget years. For decades. By then, local competition is pretty much wiped out. There is enough evidence. In just 13 years in Thailand, and that's a whole sad story in itself, post-97 Asian crisis, all this has happened, 3 foreign retailers have taken over 38% of the Thai market. To quote a study from Mahidol University, one of the universities of Thailand, what took 60 to 80 years to happen in the West has taken place in under 15 years in Thailand. Now they are struggling to contain the monopoly practices of their big retailers that they have allowed them. The disruption in their home markets that these guys have created, I have already mentioned, is well documented. Communities have been wiped out by them. In every country, their practices have come under serious investigation. Communities have been wiped out to such a degree, I don't know how many of you know this, the city of New York does not permit Walmart to open within the city limits of New York. This is a fact. In the existing format of Walmart, the city of New York has said, sorry, they will not allow. And they have been trying for 20 years to enter New York. Now, it's not to say Walmart is not in New York State. They are in all the suburban areas of New York. But in the city, within the city limits, what is considered the city of New York, they are not allowed. So I'm waiting for an opportunity to ask our Chief Minister of Delhi, if New York does not permit Walmart, why should New Delhi? I'm still waiting. So what is the central operating philosophy of these companies? The core of big retail. This is the only way they know how to succeed. The core of their business, the core of their strategy is concentration and domination. The C&D of their business. In every market in the world, their philosophy, their practices is to edge out other players, leading to unfair concentration. In the grocery business, market shares range from 20% to as high as 80% plus for just a few retailers. Entire countries depend on them as they control the supply of food. In Sweden, just 3 retail chains control 86% of the Swedish market. Okay, and admittedly, some of these are small countries. Belgium, 3 retailers control 79%. Australia, 2 retailers control close to 80%. Just 2 retail chains. Germany, 5 retailers control 75%. Mexico is a sad case. I've written about this. 3 retailers control 70%. Canada, same situation. 3 retailers close to 70%. UK, 3 retailers control about 2/3 of the market. France, 3 retailers, 55% and so on. In the US, on a national aggregate, the numbers may look a little different. But if you go at the state level, just 2 or 3 retailers will control more than 3/4 of the retail food supply in every state, whether the state of New York or Illinois or California or whatever the case. Now, therefore, let's be clear. These companies are not interested in coming to India to open a few sample shops. Oh, we have got shops in India. No. In their DNA, their core is to control and dominate. So they will set up thousands of stores across the country. I'll give you one example. Walmart in Mexico alone has 2,765 stores. And they entered the country only in the early 90s. Around the same time India was liberalizing. Now if you do the math, I've done the math, I'll tell you what it is. They have opened an average of 11 stores per month, every month, month on month, every year for the past 21 years. Now the business model demands that they build large volumes. They will use it to lower price. This will help them to build even more volumes, leading to more concentration till it is virtually impossible for anybody to compete. So the question often asked, and that sometimes people write emails to me and they ask some questions, and sometimes consumers write to me and they ask questions. So is it good for the consumer then? If prices are lower, up to a point, maybe the consumer can benefit. But once domination is established, forget about it. You only have captive consumers. You don't have lowering of prices. And if you look at the markups, it's a whole different story. Now what do we have in India? It's exactly the opposite. Our structure has no one player dominating the market. Now this is beneficial for farmers and suppliers and consumers. The best thing in any marketplace is that no individual participant should be allowed to dominate the marketplace. Then only there is pushes and pulls in all directions to keep a sense of balance on all the participants in the industry. This is exactly the opposite of what the MBA schools will teach you. The MBA schools will teach because they are teaching how to run a business. For a businessman to succeed and for the capital employed to have the highest return, the best situation is to have a domination of a market. But from a consumer standpoint, from a vendor standpoint, from the standpoint of all the other participants in that ecosystem, in that market, fragmentation is the best way to go. So fragmentation is the situation which the stock market hates. So in a way, capitalism hates fragmentation. It's intuitively right. Because what do they want? They want to invest some money and they want returns for the next, whatever, annuity for the rest of the next 10 generations. That's how capital thinks. It's not necessarily how the other players in the ecosystem need to think. So what is attractive about India is precisely this fragmentation. So you see lakhs of, I'm a Walmart or a Tesco, and if I was advising them, I would say go to India. Why? Because it's got lakhs, tens and hundreds of thousands of small retailers, extremely fragmented, low capital base for each of these people. You can take them out in no time. This is like going to battle. You know, on the other side has got tanks and aircraft and this and that, and you're going there with bows and arrows. You will get taken out in no time. So here is a market with ready pickings as far as the, so you know, sure Obama will talk about it, Hillary Clinton will talk about it, everybody will talk about it. Because they want it. It's so easy. So big foreign retail is about control and squeezing costs on the supply side. I mean, this is so basic. There is, you know, it's unbelievable to me when the government of India and everybody says, you know, they will come and they will take out all the middlemen and they go directly to the farmer and therefore the cost will come down. The farmer will somehow get higher prices. I mean, it's a joke. I am coming in, I am a businessman, I am the largest middleman in the world is Walmart. So they are coming to India and saying, I'll take out all your middlemen, so I can be the only middleman. The point is, model is buy low, sell highest. So why would I go to a farmer in India and say, okay, now I'm going to pay you more? How does it serve my interest? I mean, it's intuitively, it's basic common sense. And if anybody is buying this logic, then you really have to think about what their motives are. So here is the situation in Western Europe, for example. You have only 110 buying desks, 110 buying desks that control the flow of goods from 3.2 million farmers on one side and 160 million consumers on the other side. So 110 buying desks are buying produce from 3.2 million farmers and they are selling to 160 million consumers. Where does the power lie? Not with the farmer, not with the consumer, but this narrow, choked funnel. If I am in control of this funnel, I am in control of the market. I am in control of the dynamics of this entire exercise. And this is the model. And it's already well established. So this is the structure that these guys will want to replicate in our country. Professor Swamy has talked about all the employment issues. Now, if this is the structure that comes into India, you can multiply in your own mind what the implications of this are. People say farmers will get more money. Oh, is that so? Let's look at that. In 1950, 60 years ago, US farmers received 40 cents of the retail dollar. For every dollar spent in consumption of food at retail, 40 cents will flow back to the farmer in the US. Today, that percentage is down to 19 cents. These are not my numbers. This is what the US government puts out. US Department of Agriculture puts out these numbers. Now, in this time frame, it's not to say that the consumer price has come down. So who's getting this? Where is this balance of 21 cents, 21% of revenue gone into the hands of the retailer? The so-called middleman who is now coming to India to save our farmers. Now, the only area where farmers get a bad deal, actually, according to Amul MD, Mr. Sodhi, the Indian dairy farmer gets 72% of the retail rupee. It's the highest in the world. If you again go and look at the, you can do the search. Go and look at the problems of dairy farmers in the UK and how Tesco is squeezing them, how Sainsbury is squeezing them, how Aldi is squeezing them. It's all there, open. So whenever somebody tells you that farmers will benefit, please ask the one simple question. If farmers are to benefit by big retailers or from the presence of big retailers, how come in the very areas in geographic or markets or countries where the big retailers dominate, the very same countries provide the highest subsidies to their farmers? So if the retailer is paying all this big money to the farmer, what is the need for subsidy? $1.3 billion, $1.3 trillion according to the OECD. In the OECD countries alone. Is the subsidy going to the farmers? So after bringing in the retailers, is the government going to start subsidizing our farmers because they are being squeezed by the retailers? What's the logic? Where are we going with all this? The next question is, who will they replace? Now, big retail will cause massive disruption and unemployment. We've already heard this morning about the unemployment issues in the country. We are not a good provider of, as a country, as a nation, as an economy, we just don't generate enough jobs. Simple, period. There are enough statistics. He talked about the last 5 years employment growth at, lesser than single digit. If you put a number to it, over the last 10 years, according to the NSSO, same source, 17 lakh jobs per year is what the Indian economy creates. 1.7 million for a population of our size. It's a miracle to me that there is not more social strife. Maoism will come. Why will not come? Because we can't provide jobs. So if people are providing jobs to themselves, and retail is a huge source of employment, self-employment. I can't provide the jobs. Well, I had a driver who left my employment a few months ago. I asked him, where are you? He had his own reasons. नहीं साहब हम बाजी का काम कर बाजी का दुकान रखने वाला. I'm going to become a trader in vegetables. I have a little company, I have a little capital, I'm going to go into my own business and start selling vegetables. Okay. But at least he's not out on the street agitated. 25 million cheap wage earners according to our study in retail. So 1% loss of employment, you can carry this number, 2.5 lakh jobs will go. Each job represents 5 lives, at least a family of 5 are surviving. If 30% of retail employment is lost, as in Thailand, we are talking of an impact of 7.5 million jobs, equivalent to 3.75 crore people. This is my calculation, you can do your own math. 1% of loss of employment, 2.5 lakh jobs will go. So our government is saying foreign retail will come and they will create massive employment opportunities. The head of Carrefour India is saying, oh, I think we can create about 20,000 jobs in the next few years. This is head of Carrefour India in a public statement. We are talking about losing 2.5 lakh jobs for every percentage of market share lost. Our government is saying these people will come and everybody will get new jobs and fresh jobs. I don't know where it's all heading. So there is a disconnect in this whole debate. Now let's look at the sourcing side. As they build scale, the foreign retailer can go to any mandi or market. Now, the most important thing to know about or understand about retailers or retail trade or any kind of trade is that what will eventually win. And this is as sure as the sun rises in the east. What is the sure shot success is power of capital. Nothing else matters. The more money I have, the more I can trade, the more I can concentrate, the more money I will have. It's a virtuous cycle. So you allow big capital to come in, big capital will win. There is no doubt about it. It's happened everywhere. So how would we be any different? So all this talk of coexistence and local Kirana fellow will survive, that fellow will survive, this fellow will survive. Indians, we have our own way of surviving. Jugaad, we will make do. For what purpose? So that the Walton family can be not valued at, I don't know what their stakes are now, but it used to be one of the richest family in the country, in the US. So anyway, I'm digressing. The point is, big capital will always win in a category of market or service where the primary requirement for success is money. And trading, the primary requirement for success is money. Local knowledge, skills, resources, technology, efficiency, infrastructure, everything starts from that basic input of how much money can I put on the table. And the amount of money these people can put in, nobody has any idea what it is. So the kind of cornering of the market that is possible is something that we should shudder. We should think about this. We can't just use these. On one count I agree with the government. They keep saying, oh, a lot of money will come. Not tens of millions, but billions will come, is a statement made by the Commerce Minister. He is actually only partially right. Not billions will come, but tens of billions will come. So what is the impact of that on the global population? There is no thought. Now, there will be some benefit, no doubt, when a lot of money comes. Then again, a few years from now, there will be another Business World article, cover page, super rich. It's not 497, now it's 597, not controlling 26%, but it's 597 controlling 56%, or some such number will come. So the trends are there, very clear. Now let's look at the consumer interest. Next question, what kind of markets do these guys have? A big myth, and our chief economic advisor, who just recently resigned or retired or whatever the case may be, he was on television saying how these guys will come and inflation will be completely under control. Chief economic advisor of the country, talking on public television. He's a man, we talk about trust factor. I'm happy not to trust such people. It's It's a serious issue. When you are holding that job and you say that this will control inflation. Let's look at the markers. Now I studied 4 groups of products. I can study any number of products, but just representation. Consumer goods, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, garments, pharmaceuticals and OTC, over the counter, cookware and kitchenware. I've written about it, I won't get into the details, but the retail markups in the West range from 2 times more than India to 3 times, and in some categories as high as 9 times. It is not difficult to understand why the markups are like this. Because if you allow concentration of retail power over time, the retailer is bound to increase his markups and margin. He is not in business to serve the consumer. He is not in business to serve the farmer. He is in business, and that is his dharma, if you want to go a Hindu way. His work, he will do. He has to do. He has to maximize his profits, and that's what he is there to do. Now, whether that's the kind of people we want, that's why I said, whom are we inviting? What are we getting into? It is for us to understand about this. So, it is absolutely in the consumer's interest to have a fragmented retail market. Don't even have any doubt on that. So, who does the policy benefit? Let's take a quick look at the policy initiative. Now, the way the policy is initiated is also a dead giveaway that the policy makers are well aware of the pitfalls. Now, they are declaring in the policy, in the content, that this is a policy designed to support big capital and the predatory multinationals in retail. They are stating in action, although they are saying something else in words, they are stating in action that the government is not concerned about the interests of small and medium businesses in the millions that will be adversely affected. So here are some of the factors. In the policy, minimum amount fixed for foreign investment is $100 million, say 500 crores. So who are the people who have $100 million to invest? Only the big guys. But in reality, it's actually a policy, it might be written by them only. So they have gone there, sat as advisors, they have been lobbying, they are doing all kinds of things. So they are saying, the foreign retailer is saying 100 million, say, yes, please put 100 million, no problem. Because my intention is not 100 million, no, I'm going to come in with billions. So this is not an issue. So how many Indian retailers have $100 million to invest? Or have invested $100 million in their business? Even collectively, how many? Not at all possible, except for the few top corporate guys who are now in this and studying with it. The policy says 50% of investment must be in back-end infrastructure. So what is back-end infrastructure? Not defined. The foreign retailer says, perfect. Anyway, I have to put money in back-end. Where else am I going to put it? I have to put the warehouses, I have to do the trucking, I have to do my IT, all this is considered back-end. So what is the constraint for me? No constraint. Now, there is a slight sidebar here. In India, the small trucker is a very important factor of the economy. 90% of trucks are owned and run by these little guys. 1 truck, 2 trucks. We have a client called Shekhar Swamy who are only financing small truckers. I've been in the market. I know how they work and their thinking and so forth. Now you want to take away their livelihood also because now you want to concentrate. You say no, small fleets are inefficient. I need big fleets, big warehouses. Now who has all that? Only the big guys with big money. So again, that's another area, but nobody's talking about it. The policy recommendation says 30% of sourcing must be from small industry. Now, this policy was announced 6-7 months ago. Even when it was announced, some of us who were looking at it knew that this is completely unimplementable. So what kind of a policy is being made, which when it is made also you know it can't be implemented. Okay, what is the proof point now? So they opened up 100% FDI in single brand retail, so-called IKEA is like. So the moment IKEA wants to invest, they are already renegotiating with the government, saying this 30% sir is not practical for us. So please change the rule. You haven't even put one store. So our government is saying, no, we have to accommodate the interests of these people, so we are relooking at the policy. Policy is not even implemented. Already the relook is happening. So this is another bakwas. The other point is how much of supply is happening from small and medium industry. Have you studied that? 50-60% of sourcing in our retail bazaars comes from small and medium industry. And you have provided a reservation of 30%. So you are not reserving anything, you are taking away 30%. It's very simple. So the Ministry of Small and Medium Industry is jumping up and down, but of course, nobody is paying attention to that. It is a very another factor in the policy. Self-certification. All the compliance, they will self-certify. Now I've been working in industry for many decades now. The government of India will not allow me to self-certify anything. But these foreign retailers, with their track record of litigation running into tens of thousands of cases in their own home markets, you want them to self-certify that I am following all your rules. The policy states this. So what are we talking? Next policy point is, oh, we will restrict them to cities with 1 million plus population. Why only 1 million plus population? Oh, because the small towns, less than 1 million, retail is an important part of employment for those people, for those cities. So we will wait for them to adjust and get ready for them to get ready. Those smaller towns must be getting ready for foreign retailers to come. This is what the government is saying. Why 30 population of 1 million? 35 cities have been identified. Which is so in your statement of policy enunciation that this will have a negative impact on employment in a part of the country, and therefore you are saying, oh, I'm protecting that part of the country. What about the retailers in the big cities? They're not big people. So anyway, why should we care? Because our situation is unique. No other country, barring China is a different issue altogether, has the challenge of meeting the needs of 1.2 billion, all the issues that was talked about by Professor here. No other country has the challenge of meeting the needs of 1.2 billion people. No other country, pick a number, whether it's 27% or 80% below poverty line, put an actual number, 350, 400 million people below poverty line. It's enormous. And we are supposed to look after them and give them some basic livelihood. No other nation has our social complexity, along with the factors, quality. You can evaluate the social interest at ease. So policy, particularly on FDI and retail, considering how many people, how many lives, how many crores of people are affected, must take into account the unique situation of our country and not blindly follow Western research. In my view, policy must serve the needs of the broadest base of the population, not just those at the top of the economic pyramid who make the loudest noise and have access to the media to propagate it. I'll share with you one other nugget in terms of how the media is influenced. In 2011, only in 2011, Walmart has spent, according to their own disclosure statements to the SEC in the US. Now, the good thing is they have to disclose how much money is being spent by them to influence policy in other countries. So, according to their own disclosures, they spent 60 crores in only 1 year, 2011, to influence the media in India. And according to the chief executive of a fairly prominent media house who told me this anecdotally, he said, Shekhar, what are you talking? Last year, Walmart took 118 journalists, 118 journalists, to the US to give them an orientation on Walmart. Now, the average age of these journalists is between 25 and 35. They've flown across to the US in business class, wined and dined for a week or 10 days, shown all the things about Walmart. They come back and they write stories. What do you think they're going to write? So, in our country, 25 million or 12 million retail establishments, They are not whining and dining, even a single journalist. So where is the weight of opinion? So when you read about it in media, please take a look and take a pause and see what is influencing this opinion. So when I talk of economic war, these are also factors. There are people influencing us on a wholesale basis to think the way they want. There's another anecdotal story I'll tell you and then I'll close. So I was in a meeting one day with some lady, actually in a reception, dinner reception at a wedding, and some lady suddenly started talking about wastage in food. All these perishables, 40% of our food supply, whatever fruits and vegetables are rotting in the countryside and so on and so on. So I said, who told you that? Oh, I read about it. I said, where did you read it? And she thought about it. I said, you've been in India now for how long? She must be what, 50 or some years. So I said, we lived here 50 years. So when did this opinion of wastage in food come into your brain? Oh, I've been reading about it recently. So for 49 years, assuming she's a 50-year-old lady, for 49 years she never thought about it. So suddenly last 1 year she's thinking, oh, my tomatoes are rotting on the countryside, therefore I need Walmart. I said, pause here, please think about it. Who has put this thought into your head? And I said, I have been studying this subject for many months now. I can't find the source of any single document which says 40% of our food supply or fruits and vegetables are wasted in this country. There's only one study that I've come across, and that was also a BCG or KPMG, one of those studies, which says 15% of perishables are lost in this country, which I believe. But 15% is lost in every part of the world. The biggest wasters of food are in the West. So these people are coming and telling us how much of food we are wasting so that they can get an entry into the market. So, last point, what should we do? Now, let me not leave you with the impression that everything is hunky-dory in our retail structure or our distribution structure. There are lots of issues. Storage is an issue, infrastructure is an issue, power supply is an issue. 600 million people having a blackout is unprecedented. We should get an Olympic gold medal for that. It just happened 2 weeks ago. Entire grid fails. And in this country, we want to create Walmart and all these guys are going to come and create cold chain infrastructure. Where is the power? So everything is related. It's not just you open up one thing and something, everything. It's not a magic wand which is going to solve all our problems. So there are issues, but we can address them. It doesn't require anybody from outside to come and address it. There's enough technology, enough money, enough good minds in this country. If we want to sit down and really want to address these issues, we can do it. And without too much trouble. In 3 months, we can put out a framework in which we can say, okay, these are the things we do. We set this agenda, go forward and do it. In the next 2-3 years, you will address the wastage, you will address all kinds of issues, and you will make a more efficient retail and distribution infrastructure of the country. So really speaking, what do we need to do? We don't have to do anything. I mean, you have to open the country for investment. You have to proactively do something. So for a change, if the government is used to doing nothing, I am saying, please do nothing. Why are you actively not wanting to do something? You have not done anything on so many fronts. So, please remember there is, on a positive note, has any of your wives or husbands or sons and daughters and mothers and fathers or whatever ever come to you and said, I'm not getting my basic items in the bazaar today? Are there queues in the bazaars of India? As there was under the Soviet system some time ago for bread. Are we not getting everything we need virtually at our doorstep? I had this argument with someone, he says, but I don't get the lychees from South Africa. Okay, maybe you don't get lychees from South Africa. But in the mango season, the mango comes. In the apple season, the apple comes. The basic things that you need for everyday living, it's available in plenty. Price is another issue, I'm not getting into that. It just tells you one simple thing. Without any regulation, without too much of interference, the veins and arteries of India are functioning quite well, thank you. So let's not invite a disaster. Thanks a lot.
Shekhar, one small question. Last time when this bill was introduced in the parliament, because of Mamata Banerjee, we are saved. But seeing the pattern of Mamata's political action, immediately agitating and ultimately surrendering to the Congress, what will happen for this bill if next time it is getting introduced in the parliament? And how to oppose it politically? How to fight it?
Sir, I am not a political pundit. I should have said that also. Maybe I'm going to. I don't know how to manage the politics. I'm not even competent to answer it in that sense. I can only hope that self-interest will prevail. So, Mamata Banerjee or Mohan Singh or any of these people, in my interaction, again, very limited with politicians and so forth, if they understand one thing, they understand self-interest. So maybe they don't have to do anything for the nation's interest and understand global context and practices. We don't need them to understand any of that. But if they simply talk to their own constituencies, they will be told, stay away from this. So hopefully, self-interest is our only insurance in this matter. Some people, of course, may have a death wish, so that we can't help.
I have a question. Yes, sir. You don't have any personal connection with this industry?
No, I don't.
So what would...
No, sorry, I have some...
Okay, you may have very limited interest.
No. In the interest of full disclosure, I must tell you that we have some connection in the sense that we have one or two clients whom we are working with who are in the retail business. So that's my only connection.
Okay. So what motivated you to take up this study, write documents and then take speeches like this? What would you See, you are not a stakeholder. We are stakeholders. Yeah.
No, I am as much a stakeholder as you are. So what is your stake? If I guess I am a stakeholder, I am in the sense of
National consumer.
no, it's not altruistic. It's just that there is something which doesn't seem right, and okay, we can sit in an armchair and criticize or do something. Honestly, I don't think I've done much. To be fair, to be candid. Okay, writing a few articles and giving a few speeches, in my opinion, is not much. So, and I'm not trying to be modest, I'm being truthful. It is what it is. And so, I am interested. The subject bothers me. I think it is a big mistake if they do it.
But in business circles, you are seen as a crusader against the fake.
No, business circle, nobody calls me anything. They are busy doing their business. I'm left alone. I have no problems. Really, nobody has come and told me why I do. I may go into a meeting and okay, there is a dinner or a wedding reception or something. Then they may ask some questions because they want to. A lot of curiosity is there. I want to understand the subject. What are you saying? Why are you saying? I'm happy to talk. At the end of half an hour, I'm saying, maybe there is something here. At least I'm willing to. If there is a little doubt created, I'm happy. Let them learn something. Yes, sir.
So another.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had the same opinion that our street corner shop owners may be destroyed if foreign direct investment in retailing comes. But there was an argument that was given to me that for the past 10 years we have got Lane Fresh. For the past 10 years we have got Spencer's and Megamarts. These are all corporate retailers. Originally we had very small retailers, street corner shopkeepers. But now we have got very huge corporate retailers who have invested crores and crores of rupees. But they are not able to destroy the shop corner retailers. So, even when Walmart comes or other foreign retailers come, they will function in their own way, and the street corner shopkeepers will function in their own way. It will be very difficult for the Walmarts to destroy the street corner shopkeepers, because Reliance was not able to do that, Spencer was not able to do that, and Mega Marts and other corporate retailers were not able to do that. So we need not worry that the Walmart may destroy our street side shopkeepers. What's your argument for this, sir?
Your name, sir?
I am a professor of commerce from St. Joseph's College. When I had the same fear, when I addressed my fear today, I am Dr. L.J. Charles, Head of the Department of Commerce, St. Joseph's College, and I came to know this workshop only through my close friend Srinivasan. Tichrapalli. So when I had the same fear, when I explained this was the answer given to me. So I want to be clarified.
First of all, I must express my gratitude to you for this question. It's a very important question, and when I'm speaking, it's impossible to cover all the points. Here are some thoughts for you to think about. Reliance, Spencer's, Big Bazaar, other three big guys, Hypercity, Shoppers Stop Group, etc. They have been in this business now. Reliance has been there for about 6-7 years. Pantaloon Group, Big Bazaar was the so-called pioneer and so forth. The facts on the ground are like this. Every single one, sorry, I missed Aditya Birla more. Every single group, these are published information, all these corporate groups have incurred heavy losses. Okay. So, we are raising another issue about the business model and who will succeed and preconditions for success and so on. So I'm not getting into that. If you want, you and I will discuss that offline over a cup of coffee. The important thing is, these companies, as big as they are, Reliance as big as Reliance may be, do not have the wherewithal, do not have the knowledge, do not have the attitude, and it will take them several decades before they crack the code on this retail market. Let me finish. My friend, I will answer your question. Just give me the minute, let me address what he's saying. So the question is that there will be corporatization of retail and it will evolve over time. There's no doubt in my mind. And I'm not even arguing against it. Please understand. What I'm arguing against is the sudden pace and the fury of the investment that has tremendous capacity for disruption. The example, the quote from Thailand is relevant. What took 60 to 80 years to happen in the West happened in Thailand in 10 to 15 years. Okay? If you allow the Reliances and the Aditya Birlas and all these people, and they are Indian corporates, highly respected, my salutes to them and so forth. If you allow them to continue the way they are continuing, which is okay, they will take a long time for this to get to the concentration and domination posture that I talked about. They cannot do in India what Walmart was able to do in Mexico in 15-20 years. So the issue is one of scale, the issue is one of disruption. Now I'll give you another little bit of historic